Private pensions have been going belly up for 20 years. Here's a nice cartoon, this is a New Yorker cartoon. Here are the benefits you were guaranteed when you joined the firm, and this is a match. And this is one after another. And now, of course, as I said last time, public employees who still have good pensions, who still have good benefits, are now the target of the right and of the capitalists saying, well, we can't have those people. Let's set a bad example for all our other underpaid workers. And that's what Wisconsin, the battle in Wisconsin is all about. Okay? And then they even want to privatize Social Security. And they privatized huge numbers of private pensions. Oh, yeah, I didn't mention that. So people have private pensions, and when the stock market collapsed in 2000 or again in 2008, their private pension plans suddenly are reduced by half or a third from what they thought they had. And it was sold that, oh, this will be so secure. Just let the capitalists invest your money and everything will be okay. But if the stock market collapses, everything's not okay. That's why Social Security is so important, because it doesn't collapse. It's guaranteed by the government. And of course, the Republicans and the right have gone on and on about how Social Security's bankrupt and so on. It's just not true. It just isn't true. You just have to raise the. We do these silly things like if you earn over $250,000, you don't have to pay any more on your Social Security. So is it even less than that? 100, 250 or 150? It's crazy. All you have to do is raise the rate a little on the upper end incomes, and you cover the problem. But you get all these predictions coming from the Peterson Institute. Oh, Social Security, we've got to privatize it. Well, that'll be much better. Let's turn it into CDOs. Let's turn it into things that financiers can play with. That'll guarantee everybody a secure retirement. And it's hard for you when you're young to even care about that, but I assure you, you will one day. And then, of course, if people are accepting lower wages, if we've downgraded, we know we have stagnant wages for 30, 40 years, shouldn't that mean more job creation? Isn't that what the market, isn't that what economics tells you? The price falls, people will demand more, those job creators will make more jobs? No, they haven't. So jobs creation is not kept up with the expansion of the population. Good jobs creation is definitely not. And in fact, meanwhile, after the two last recessions, we have these catastrophically bad recoveries, or what are now called jobless recoveries. There's no new jobs being created. Why? Because it's a weak economy. The capitalists have lots of money, but they aren't investing. Why? Because they've been offshoring jobs like crazy. That's your upper income, your upper skilled work that's taken a bigger hit. That's been offshore. Electronics loves offshore jobs. California is in the lead of offshoring jobs. Or they raise productivity in basic industries, so they don't need so many workers. So all kinds of reasons why, your jobs aren't just flexible. They're so flexible, you don't even have to work. So, to borrow a line from Sarah Palin, how's that new economy working out for you? Not so great. Now, there are ways, and we can agree there are ways in which more flexibility and work teams can be working more intelligently. A lot of mothers want to have part-time work. It's more flexible. There's lots of ways that some of this stuff works to the advantage of workers. But overall, it's a massive undercutting of the old standards of living of that great middle class. I'll come back to that in a second. And indeed, a lot of workers are very unhappy about it. Finally, working for Walmart. Well, you know about Walmart, so this can be quick. So, on the march, on the cheap, on the dole, on the low road. Working for Walmart. Some of these I corrected because Walmart changed its name to take the hyphen out. Don't ask me why. Sort of bizarre. But anyway, now it is Walmart instead of Walmart. Or they put a star in there. Usually talk about the star in. See, Walmart, home office. Have they gotten rid of the star? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it looks it. I know what that is. I think that's a joke. But anyway. Well, because Walmart is the world's largest company. It's grown like a mushroom. It's got more sales than any company. It's got more employees than any company. It's got incredible profits, probably more than anything except oil companies and Apple. And its sales are so huge. 2% of GDP in one company. That's just astounding. So Walmart is and here I put in top American employers. When it says public, it doesn't mean government. It means public corporations. That is ones who actually have to disclose their their statistics because they're shareholder owned. Yeah. Yeah, this says 1.4 in the U.S. here. Yeah, most of them are in the U.S., yeah. It's not as globalized yet as you might think. It hasn't globalized that well in Europe and Asia. We talked about that once before about the difficulty of this model going abroad because of different habits, different rules, and so on. So I'm mostly just talking about the U.S. today. Notice Kelly Services, temp agency, is the second largest, and McDonald's is third, and UPS, our old buddy UPS is fourth. And then Big Box, Home Depot, Target, and then you get a bank. But that must have been before 2008. Okay, so that's why I study Walmart. Walmart's been spreading like crazy. Here's 1971 when it emerged out of Fayetteville in the Ozarks, right there. And then 1988, it's spreading. Where's it going? The South and Mid-South, Upper South, Lower Midwest. And then it starts to move up into the East, the Northern Midwest, and the West Coast. And now it's pretty much ubiquitous. That's pretty much a map of U.S. population. And what's their system? Well, you got to answer a question about this, so I hope you got it. Mega stores, where you have low overhead, a brand name, thousands and thousands of products, makes shopping easy for your shoppers. There's a lot of advantages, cost advantages, and also revenue advantages of having lots of products under one roof. Then low-wage labor in the stores. They hire these, they don't even call them workers. You're called what do you call it? An associate. Now, you might say, they're not degrading labor. They're making workers feel better. In one sense, that's what they're trying to do, so that they won't think that they're workers. Once again, they'll have that illusion of identification with the company. They do a lot, as Lichtenstein says, to build that identification with the company, so you won't identify with the union, and you won't feel disgruntled. Efficient supply, well, we talked about that a lot there. That's a wonderful warehousing system. They have a wonderful sourcing system. They have a lot of market power over their suppliers, so they can demand a lot of, they can demand bulk prices, low prices, high quality, quick delivery, and so on. And of course, they do a brilliant job of international or global sourcing to bring in products from cheaper labor areas and with a tremendous global logistics system. So that's how the system works. That's the whole package. But the labor part of it is really interesting because Walmart sets a standard for cheap labor in retailing. So they force other retailers to accept lower wages, to lower their prices, to compete. This model is spread to other sectors. Once they realize this is a model you can make more money out of. And Wall Street loves Walmart because it's efficient. And having low wages, financiers love that because the more profit you make, the more money you can borrow and the more money you can pay back to them. Or the more you can pay in dividends to your stockholders. So Wall Street loves what they call efficiency, which means higher rate of surplus value. So today, in today's economy, with all this flexibility and low-wage labor, in these big companies like this, we all work for Walmart. And Walmart is both a product of the defeat of labor and a major player in the defeat of organized labor, along with high tech and other aggressive retail companies and so on. Southern strategies. There's a lot of different fronts of this war on labor. Here's a graph that the Labor Center did in their study about Walmart coming to California. So a 30% difference on large retailers. That's pretty substantial. Health benefits. Whoops, they don't give very good health benefits. Okay, less eligibility, less payment per worker, higher copays. You don't need all those numbers, but roughly 25% worse. And they also are very well known for violations of labor laws and other things. There was this massive suit of however many women it was. I couldn't remember how many it was. Anybody can remember? It was hundreds of thousands about gender discrimination and promotion because it's an old Southern kind of tradition, I guess. And but fortunately, the Supreme Court works for these guys, not directly. But they all believe the same thing. So what did the Supreme Court just do? Throw this suit out. That's very helpful by 5-4 decision, of course, with the George Bush appointees changing the majority. Good times for capital, folks. Even with Obama's president, he's appointed one, but it was replaced one in the minority, so it's still 5-4, and will be for a long time. Those guys live forever. You know, it's kind of like Warren Buffett. He's like, what is he? He's 80 something, right? When you have a really good life doing really interesting work, you live for a lot longer. The data is very clear. When you have crappy work and a crappy life, you die sooner. But that's a cost. I should have thrown that up there as a cost of being a worker, because the data are very clear on that too. Anyway, on the dole. I don't want to depress you too much. How about Walmart workers feeding at the public trough? You know, God, these people who get public assistance, they're such leeches. This is the neoliberal line. It has been since Reagan. Those damn welfare mothers. Well, it turns out that the greatest number of people taking public assistance are workers who are employed, or were just employed before they got booted, because they have such lousy incomes. By lousy companies like Walmart, they have to get assistance. They still need food stamps. They still need Section 8 housing. They still need, when they turn over because they can't stand the work, they still need general assistance, and so on. And they take more, the Walmart workers take more than other workers. Must just be coincidence. So here's the total public assistance per worker would increase by 40% if large retailers in California changed to Walmart's wages and benefits. And this was a study done back in the mid-2000s. I think they did about 2005 or 6. So Walmart is so efficient, so great because it's efficient. No, it's very efficient and it's very exploitive. That's the perfect combination. That's the most brilliant combination. You can have capitalists in poor countries. All they know is to hire child labor and work it to death. Okay? There's plenty of examples of those kind of capitalists going all the way back to the British Industrial Revolution. Then there are the really, really paternal capitalists who have brilliant organization and they pay the workers really well because they feel, yeah, they should be a part. Or because they're all like us, some really good high-tech firm, they pay their workers really well. Like Twitter probably pays their people really well, right? Because we're all in this together, we're all young, we're changing the world, da-da-da-da. But the best is the Walmart method. That's where you can really get big. Twitter will never get that big. Okay, the low road. So what does this all lead to? Well, first of all, the wellsprings of Walmart. Walmart is a geographical story. So it's always, geography is always a very important part of these things. Walmart comes out of the Ozarks right there, the Mid-South. And if you look at this map of poverty in America, this is the main poverty belt is indeed in the Sun Belt, despite the fact the Sun Belt's grown much, much faster than the Northeast over the last 40 years. And yet it has more poverty. What's that about? And, the Ozarks aren't the worst, but it's right in there in the upper Mississippi Valley and not just beyond. The Ozarks are obviously not in the valley, they're hills. But it's in this area of the country where it was empty to rural farms. There was a huge farm crisis, emptying out farms in the post-war era, small farms being outcompeted. I should have showed that, actually. Would explain it more. Small farms being driven out. There was a huge collapse in the early 80s of small farms. Would have hit places like this very, very hard. And so suddenly you had a lot of people who needed work, and a lot of people who couldn't pay much. And so it was a perfect environment for a big box store that offered basic products at a low price and hired people at a low wage. And regionally, it kind of made sense within that labor market, within that retail market. But Sam Walton perfected that within that market and then realized he had something because he had the efficiency stuff he perfected as well as the low wages. And with the decline of union labor and high-cost labor in the upper Midwest or on the West Coast, on the East Coast, you could spread that. And by the way, Walmart wasn't the only one. Kmart and Target all come out of the Midwest. I put dollar stores. I'm not sure if they came out of the Midwest or not. But Kmart and Target did, the upper Midwest. They were kind of the northern version of this. And then they finally make it to the West Coast, to the coast, as those labor markets are being degraded. In California, by the 2000s, our workers are now making less than the average American wage. Our labor markets are growing slower than the rest of the country by the 2000s. It's no longer the dream state for a lot of low-wage workers, most of them Latino, right? And they want Walmart jobs and they want Walmart shopping, big box shopping, because they can't afford anything else, because they can't get anything else. So it's all part of the long-term decline of American labor. What does Walmart do to other retailers? Of course, it has a geographic effect. And we talked about this once before, but I'll say it again. Driving other retailers, you wonder where all those small towns went? People got in their cars and went to Walmart. And that was the end of the small town retailers who just can't hold up against this. Now, as I told you, in Germany or in Japan, there's many more protections for these kind of retailers than there are in the U.S. And this is just one typical. There have been several studies of how Walmarts destroy other competitors. But hey, that's the story of the world, right? Dog eat dog. And yet, we're always going on and on. You listen to presidential debates. Small business. Oh, small business creates all the jobs. We love small business. Well, we love small business, but we love Walmart more, apparently. Because really, the rules are all skewed towards Walmart, not skewed towards small business. The Labor Center people also did a study and evaluation of what would happen if you raised Walmart wages to be the same as comparable retailers. Just bring them up to the other big box stores, right? And it would take about a 30% wage increase, which would cut about 2% off their revenues. Okay, so the wage bill would rise from 8% of their revenues to 10% of their revenues. And prices might rise by 2%, in which case Walmart prices will only be 5 to 10% lower instead of 7 to 13% lower than other big stores. And indeed, Costco, which is another big box store that has a different attitude, actually on every score of wages, benefits, health plan, and so on, retirement plan, does better than Walmart. Have you noticed that Costco is still doing well? So apparently it's possible to not be Walmart and still be a big box store and still do very, very well. Yeah. I don't think Costco's union, no. So all this is part of the low road line of development. That means pursuing cheap labor as your main strategy in dealing with workers. What do you get from that if you do it? You get a rising worker debt load because workers can't pay for those houses, so they get into debt and then the debt collapses. And you go, oh, how did that happen? Oh, those workers, they didn't read the small print. Shame on them. Well, they were desperate. They wanted the American dream, and they couldn't get it. You get a weak domestic market. So your investors don't want to invest. So they stick all their money in financial speculation because there's nothing to invest in except Twitter. Well, I'm really on Twitter today, aren't I? It's just so ridiculous. Facebook, I can almost see, but Twitter? Anyway. And actually, by keeping wages down, you actually impede technical change. And in the service sectors, where wages have been the worst, you see that productivity used to increase in the service sectors. McDonald's is pretty efficient. They used to, they do a lot of stuff to try and increase productivity. But across all services, productivity is just stagnated in America. Whereas productivity in manufacturing continues to go up because it has to compete with international companies. And even though a lot of it's closed, the ones that have survived, their productivity goes up and up and up and up and up. But the service is just cheap labor. Who needs to improve productivity? It's not the German model. It's not the Japanese model even. And yet we still lose out to Germany in a lot of ways. Or if you go the cheap labor route, there's always somebody cheaper. So I just wanted to, this is a very funny piece. I don't know if you know The Onion. It's published out of Madison, Wisconsin. This was one of their articles recently. The National Museum of the Middle Class opens in Chelmsford, Illinois. So on that happy note, we'll see you.